Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I was just trying to give a little more time to people are signing in, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. I hope you like the music we were playing, watching the videos for the nominees for the record of the year at the Latin Grammys. The winner was Juan Luis Guerra for 40s and Mambo 23. So I hope that you enjoy it. And remember, we always play videos of Latin artists for our half hour before our meetings. I see more people coming.
Yeah, give a few minutes.
Yes. While we're waiting, I want to say thank you to Margot Horner, our chair of the 8th Congressional District, for visiting us. David Linick, representing the District of Franconia. Kathy, you are representing more other caucus, but we're going to have a time to introduce ourselves. So thank you for coming.
Jonathan just joined us. Jonathan Romano. Good morning.
How are we doing in time? Seven.
Starting a few minutes. We're late.
We're going to start our show in just a couple of minutes, allowing people to join us. It's Carla. I apologize in advance. Several of our guests were not able to join yet our meeting because we have a problem early this morning with a new Zoom, and FCDC was working to give us a new Zoom to fix it. But it seems like some people are having trouble finding, the Zoom. So very soon our guest is going to be with us. So while people are trying to sign, I'm going to start. So I want to say good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining at the Latino Caucus meeting. My name is Maritza Cermeño. I'm the chair, and let's have a great meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. Since we meet online, we use a procedure called unanimous consent. After I call for a motion and a second to vote on an issue, I will call for unanimous consent rather than a vote. And if there is no objection, the motion will be accepted. If there is an objection, I will call for discussion and then we will vote. Let's start by approving the agenda. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Hearing no objections, the agenda is approved. Next, let's approve the meeting minutes for the September 26th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any objections to accepting the minutes? Hear none, the minutes are approved. Now, I propose that we dispense with normal order and allow the chair to modify the agenda upon the need to accommodate invited guests and visitors. Do I hear a motion?
I so move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Here are none, we will dispense with normal order. So welcome everybody. I'm gonna open the mic so everybody can unmute and introduce yourself. So I'm gonna start from Margot Horner. Margot, can you introduce yourself, please? Okay, well, I'm gonna start with my screen, so don't feel offended if I skip you. But Lionel, you're the first on my screen. Can you please introduce yourself?
Good night. My name is Leonel Rojas, and thank you for attending the Latino Caucus meeting tonight.
Thank you. Marta?
Hello, I'm Marta Calderon. I am the secretary of the Latino Caucus, and I also the social media for Franconia and the Latino Caucus.
Okay, Kathy, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Katie Akbar. I am the recording secretary of the Fairfax County Democratic Committee and here to support our Latino brothers and sisters.
Thank you. Okay, so from Margot Horner, I have that she's pleased to attend tonight to hear from Carla. Oh, Margot, you're here.
Yes, I am. Thank
Can
you
you-
so much. This is a great meeting. I'm thrilled to be here for your meeting, and I want to hear Carla speak. She's an extremely dynamic speaker, and I look forward to working with her as a partner always to DLOV.
Thank you so much, Margot. I have Dana Barak message. She's driving, and her introduction, she's a director of Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District and co-chair of the Arab Americans Caucus. Thank you. And Debbie.
I'm happy. Oops. I don't need my hand up, but I'm happy to say hello. I chair Franconia District. Very glad to see Marta and Lionel, who also represent us from there, Russell Brooks as well, and just wonderful to see all the caucuses support one another, and Mona and Dana serving as co-chairs in Arab American Caucus. Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. Federico.
Hello. My name is Federico, and yeah, I'm honored to be to participate. And it's just troubling times. So the best that we can do is just stay together and do this type of meetings. So thank you for doing this. Having a strong community is what's going to get us through, right? Yeah, my thing is communication, messaging. I was just reading actually something about that, and then yeah, so that's it for me.
Thank you, Federico. Victor, can you introduce yourself, please?
Of course, Marta. I'm delighted to be here. My name is Victor Salgado. I'm a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. I will have a few minutes to speak to you after Carla's speech, and I look forward to doing so at that time. Thank you, Marta.
Thank you. Denise?
I'm Dennis Melamed, and this is my first meeting. I'm looking forward to a dynamic conversation.
Becky?
Hello, everyone. First time here as well. I'm here to listen and learn and become a better part of the community. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. Dana? Okay, we'll wait for Dana. Meanwhile, we can introduce Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see so many familiar faces. As many of you know, I used to be the president of the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia, 2 chapters or 2 versions before Carla now, who served as my political action director. Also the founder of Juntos por Virginia, PAC, dedicated to encouraging more Latinos to run for office. I'm here in my capacity now as Victor's campaign manager, so excited to turn it over to him later today so he can share more. It's great to see many of you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Becky? Well, okay, let's go with Lenira.
Don't do me because I can't.
Oh, I remember she's at work, so she might be only listening. Okay, she's a dear friend of us, and she's part of the Black Caucus. Thank you. And how about Russell? Are you available, Russell?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. Russell Brooks. I'm a precinct captain in the Franconia district, and also along with Margot, I'm a member of the 8th Congressional District Committee. So thank you very much for this invitation to participate, and I look forward to a riveting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Mona, thanks for coming. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Mona Sali here. Were you calling me? Yeah. Co-chair with Dana Barakat of the Arab American Caucus. My first visit with the Latino Caucus, and I'm really looking forward to tonight's presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. So we dispense with regular order, and I'm gonna invite Victor Salgado to please introduce himself for our meeting so he can give us his presentation.
Thank you, Maritza. Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Víctor Salgado. Voy a hablar en inglés un momento, pero quería saludarlos a todos en español para empezar. For those who don't speak Spanish, I just said good evening to you all. I'm delighted to be here, and I look forward to addressing you. So, as you know, my name is Victor Salgado. I'm a lieutenant governor candidate on the Democratic side. I am one of 7 candidates who have announced. My campaign is about 30 days old, so I'm but a newborn so far, but I've made significant progress and strides in that short amount of time. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. My parents are Peruvian. They immigrated from Lima, Peru. Thank you for putting that up. To Paterson, New Jersey, and that is, as you know, the Peruvian diaspora in the United States. And I later went to college, law school, where I met my wife, who's now being flashed in front of you. She is the National Legal Director for Planned Parenthood, Federation of America, PPFA. She has spent her entire career fighting for reproductive care. And you see up there on the screen our two daughters who we sent to Spanish immersion schools here in Arlington, Escuela Aquí and Gunston Middle School. So I have spent my entire career fighting corruption and holding powerful officials who abuse their office, who harm others, the less powerful, accountable via investigations and criminal prosecutions, including, for example, Sheriff Joe Arpaio out in Arizona, who I convicted because he continued to enforce federal immigration laws, even though a federal judge told him not to do that. Congressman George Santos, candidate Salomon Peña out in New Mexico, who after losing the election that he was running for, he wanted the election results overturned. And because nobody listened to him, he proceeded to fire on the homes of 4 Latino elected officials in an effort to overturn the election results. So I've committed my entire career to punching up, to securing justice for not just for those who are less fortunate, but also to protect our systems of government and our democracy. But last election came around, and that changed everything. I could not continue at the Department of Justice, but what I could do is leverage my experience in the Justice Department, especially during the first Trump administration, and my expertise as a law school professor, adjunct professor of law at Georgetown Law, to get out in front of the worst, which we're starting to see unfold in the last 10 days. And so my wife and I decided that I had to leave DOJ and run for lieutenant governor so that I can step up to the moment, step up for our daughters, step up for all the kids in the Commonwealth and all the families in the Commonwealth. To step up to the politics of cruelty for cruelty's sake. We just saw last week where they reclassified as non-sensitive for immigration enforcement purposes schools and hospitals and churches. And what that does is instantly, immediately keep our our brothers and sisters from worshiping, from going to hospitals to take care, from sending their kids to school, which breaks my heart to see some of my own daughter's friends doing. They have been missing for the last week or so. To step up to the politics that want to use our law enforcement to pursue senseless and heartless immigration raids. The firm answer there is no, Mr. Trump. If you want to do that, you have to use your own resources. You are not going to use our resources. I have lots of experience in this space, having prosecuted Joseph Arpaio, essentially for doing what Trump wants our law enforcement officers to do. We need to stop that, and the way we stop that is with smart and effective legislation. That's why I'm running for lieutenant governor. I decided to step up to the politics, to heartless cuts, educational cuts. Let's get real. Project 2025 wants to take federal. That's their playbook. The manual says they would do. So to be prepared to assign parts of our $2 billion surplus to provide stopgap funding so that our special education kids and our early childhood education kids continue receiving quality education. I decided to step up to what's coming our way in the form of a radical policy agenda, radical policy that wants to set women's rights even further back, and that wants to lock up medical providers who dare provide life-saving care by way of abortions when they're needed the most. That's why I'm stepping up for all Virginians, no matter your party or your creed. I'm stepping up so that we can reclaim and reaffirm that fundamental American belief that, you know, out of many comes one, and out of the powerful many, we all step up as one voice, because we don't suffer. You know, last election was tough. A lot of people on this call are probably dissatisfied, tired of losing, and I get it. So am I. But as Carla, I'm sure will talk to us shortly, you know, we can still be the party of the people. We can still win elections with good policy and smart politics. But we have to do so by approaching politics in a different manner, by providing candidates who not only bring substance, but also bring. I've gone through two top secret background investigations. You know, I don't even own stock. I am as clean as they come. And I would submit to you respectfully that in this race, I fit that bill. So one parting message, I'm happy to answer questions, but if you feel the same urgency that I do of the moment, that we have to prepare for 4 years of the last 10 days that we've lived. If you feel the same passion that I do, please join my campaign. Join my social media pages. Spread the word about the campaign. If you can throw a few dollars my way, please do that. The link is in the website that was just flagged up there, so that I can keep a good, robust staff as the one that I have right now, so that I can keep the campaign moving forward and win the primary and win the general election in November. And if we do that, if we all come together rally behind one candidate who can appeal to the broadest segments of the political spectrum, from Richmond to Roanoke, Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, you know, we're going to flip the lieutenant governor's office from red to blue, and we will be in the best position possible to push back on the policies of the Trump administration that are coming my way. So with that, thank you so much. Please support my candidacy, and I'm happy to take questions unless you want to jump straight into Carla's speech, which I would totally understand. Yes, if you can, Jill Davenport, we need help collecting signatures. It's a $10,000 signature requirement for a statewide office. I'm happy to coordinate with Maritza or anybody else where we can, you know, make petitions available to you if you want to help us out in that respect. Thank you so much for offering. We will certainly take you up on it, Gil.
Thank you so much, Victor. Wow, I cannot tell you, I'm impressed that you're running against the last Republican in the Fairfax district in Virginia, Pat Herity. So that's very, significant. And I'm going to tell you that I used to carry my passport with me when the law for papers, please, in Arizona came out. I was having my passport with me all the time. So I'm sure that you're going to make a big impact, and we're here to help as much as we can. I don't see any hands up, but you're always welcome to stay, and come and visit it. So we're sending an invitation to be our guest speaker for the next month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I look forward to joining you as your guest speaker. And just so you know, so did my parents. They also carried their documents around during the first Trump administration, and they started doing it again. It's going to be a long, tough 4 years, but we got to stand together. Juntos podemos. Okay, thank you so much, Victor. So now I'm going to continue with the agenda. I'm going to talk, I don't usually take the time to give a chair's report, but that was when things were normal, and we're now in a pretty critical times. But before I really start, I just want to tell everybody that my heart is saddened with the families that lost their loved ones in the tragic crash of the plane and the helicopter that happened last night. It seems like we lost several members of our Virginia state and our schools, and a lot of state members that came from Wichita that they were participating in the trainings and the events that were happening there. So this is a sad day for America, really, and for our state and for those families. And I share a deep feeling for one of our guests that was part of our guest in my work. I work for Rising Hope, and I'm the coordinator for the emergency services. And one of our dearest guests was hit and run by a car yesterday, and she and her son were rushed to the hospital. He's in very critical condition, and unfortunately she passed away, and she was pregnant. So their family needs a lot of help, and I'm going to see how we can help them in these difficult times. And thank you for being part of this group and being here today. And I know you have busy times. So I'm going to continue with my report, and thank you for listening. We're now in some very critical times. Trump is creating fear and confusion with his mass deportation that is picking up people who have committed no crime. Banning access to protection at the US-Mexico border is plainly illegal, and to justify those executive orders adopt a wild legal theory that asylum seekers and economic migrants meet the definition of an invasion under Article 4 of the Constitution. Women and children are now invaders. Section 208 of the Immigration and Naturalization Act states clearly that anyone physically present in the United States has the right to apply for asylum if they fear for their life or freedom to the race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. This right, added to US law in 1980, applies regardless of how the non-citizens entered the United States. Despite this, as of January 20, there is virtually no way to access the US asylum system at the US-Mexico border. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, has 956 arrested on Sunday, and 554 arrests were removed and put in temporary holding. Same time last year with Biden, about 300 arrests. So it's 300 times more. And let's talk about the executive orders that Trump has signed, the three ones that really have made an impact. Protecting the American people against invasion, which threatened to block federal funding from sanctuary cities, includes sensitive areas like schools, hospitals, and churches. Securing our borders, cancel the Customs and Border Protection, one smartphone application to register for an appointment for asylum. This application was an access for all the immigrants that they were waiting at the border, and they were hoping that they would have a date so they can cross the border. And that's what it used to happen. So now in 2 years, after 936,500 appointments were made legally, all of those current appointments have been canceled. Restarts remain in Mexico. Safe third country agreements to have other governments accept removals
who would then have to seek asylum in the receiving country system. He shut down Presidential Humanitarian Parole Authority to allow up to combined 3,000 citizens from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela to enter the United States, giving more than 531,690 citizens of those countries at the 2-year parole status since 2022. And the third, protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. He tries to eliminate birthright citizenship, which is a part of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution adopted on July 9, 1868. The first sentence is, all persons born and naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside. This already been temporarily blocked by the federal judge. We also have an election for governor that is absolutely have to win. For your information, Abigail Spanberger went to Spanish in Mercy High School, where she spoke only Spanish. More about the race. We will talk more about the race for governor later. So let's talk about our guest, since our speaker is with us. I'm so excited to have her at the meeting tonight. I have known Carla for years, and I've been amazed for how much she has accomplished. Just some of the things that I'm going to read, because I'm not going to read all of them. She's now the president of DLOV. Congratulations. Nationally, she was executive vice chair of the Venezolanos Combined. She's a founding board member of Juntos for Virginia. She's a founding director of Vision Democratica. She was co-chair of Todos en Terry in 2021, as a state convention delegate for the 8th Congressional District in 2020. She has worked on historical campaigns for the Latino candidates. I could go on and on and on, but I am most pleased to call Carla a friend. So without any further delay, Carla, please, you have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Special warm hug to everyone, and admiring the resilience that we all have. I know our hearts are broken. It's been the toughest week in my history in the United States. Since I was born, I had never felt so foreign in my native land. I appreciate everyone who's shown up to this call. I know you do so in solidarity, and only together we can channel our energy and our sorrow to actually into action to bring change. As I've been telling people, Latinos are now the scapegoat. We are being used as the scapegoat for a racist agenda that looks extreme right racist agenda by the executive of this country. And I know the Democratic Party, and I know that Democrats in Virginia can turn this, and together we can change the scapegoat into the poster child of the American dream. Latinos are not only a voting force, as so many of you know by now and the statistics show, but also an economic force. So the economic reasons that probably some had to switch over to the Republican side are not really properly founded. We're not an invasive species. We are actually an essential community for the United States to strive, for the United States economy, for the United States democracy. And I prepared a presentation just to guide us through the conversation. Do you think we could share screens? Maritza, if you could give me.
Yes.
Right, and I'm glad Jonathan Brungle, who just presented me, I have so much to thank him for. DLOV really benefited from his leadership. Him, Ricardo Alfaro, Alex Zintron, prior chairs really contributed to building the infrastructure of DLOV and take it to where it is now. So thank you, Jonathan, un hermano en lucha, and Maritza and I co-chaired the region for a while together. So many people on this call have, through the years, contributed to DLOV. Let's see, so you've made me, I can share now, good. Yay. Sorry for my messy computer. I have so many windows open. I want to start off, can you see it now? Am I sharing? Yes? Okay, great. All right. I want to start off by just showing you an image, a snapshot into my identity and my duty or my call for activism, and what drove me to become a registered Democrat and then to become active within the party. The daughter of Venezuelan immigrants, they were international students that came to the United States on full rights to study. And my mother was the daughter of Cuban immigrants to Venezuela, escaping, of course, the Cuban Revolution. And my father was the son of public servants within the Social Democratic Party of Venezuela. I always grew up admiring and feeling blessed and fortunate to have been born into the US democracy. Both sides of my family really studied American history and valued the strength of democratic institutions in the United States, and brought us up to feel proud and privileged to have been born in this country, and also to share heritage from Latin American intellectuals that fought for the same type of systems in Latin America, but were shy away from delivering such results. I became a student activist at American University because at the time I was studying international relations and Latin American studies. There was still romanticism on the regimes of Cuba and Venezuela. And I felt that in many ways we were cheated of having an academic discussion and true analysis of the broken promises of the failed socialism of the 21st century, that very far from delivering the social reforms and social economic reforms the people of Latin America needed, it just worked to weaken institutions, break constitutional orders, and establish authoritarian regimes. So that's the green picture you see there. My identity has always been, as my family says, I have a Venezuelan heart, Latin heart, and American brain. I've always felt that my formation is something I need to accredit to the United States, my values, my way of thinking. But I feel for Latin America and I feel for the Latino community, and I've always been able to manage both identities, expecting for my people and my community to live in democracy. Then as I became a mother of 3 and a spouse of a veteran, I understood that I could not stay at home and be silent and be inactive as Donald Trump, who has alienated women, as my daughters will be, who has mocked the military of this country, who has antagonized and persecuted politically the immigrant communities that highly contribute to this country. I could not just sit at home and be a stay-at-home mom completely. So I took myself out of maternity leave in 2017 and joined and affiliated to the Democratic Party. I had volunteered before, but I wanted to be a registered member and an active member. And ever since, I've geared my attention to occupying spaces within the Democratic Party where I can represent the Latino voices. And that brought me to DLOV, the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia. And ever since, I've been able to serve on it as regional chair for Northern Virginia, political action director, vice chair, and was recently elected president of it. So some of my other engagements, I was asked by Maritza to speak my many engagements with the Democratic Party. I've always also been involved at the national level, organizing the Venezuelan diaspora to vote. And first of all, to understand the policies of the Democratic Party to combat the misconception that Democrats support socialism or communist regimes, and that really the Democratic Party is the party that, in my consideration, in the consideration of Venezolanos Combined and the Venezuelan American Caucus, does cover our priorities and its policies. So I'm a proud FCDC and Franconia Dem member. I'm currently the chair of the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia. I've been sitting for the last 2 years on CDDC 11, which gives me a seat in the Central Committee of DPVA, of the state party. I am one of the electoral board members for Juntos for Virginia, and I was very excited about that. I will talk to you a little bit about that because it feeds into my work with DLOV. And I'm a founding member of the Venezuelan American Caucus. And the Venezuelan American Caucus, it's a network of Venezuelans with progressive and liberal values. We are nonpartisan, but we're stakeholders in meeting with the administration and prior to the administration with the Biden-Harris campaign, and then with the administration in pushing for TPS and designing the humanitarian parole program for Venezuelans. And as you saw, that was very effective because it protected until 2 days ago when 2 to 3 days ago when President Trump decided to cancel these programs. It protected over 600,000 Venezuelans who came to the United States escaping the Maduro regime. And the Maduro regime caused humanitarian crisis, which yield to the worst migrant crisis our hemisphere has seen. So the Venezuelan migrant crisis is second to the Syrian migrant crisis. So I just want to put that in perspective for those on this call. Visión Diáspora is a foundation I have with colleagues from American University who cared about promotion of democracy in the Americas, and we founded this in 2012. It's active, it's very low profile so that we don't affect our partners in Latin America. But we're able through that channel a lot of help for the diaspora and for local NGOs in Latin America that need funding or technical support. Former roles, well, as you've seen there, I was one of the spokespeople for the Terry McAuliffe campaign and learned a lot from that as to some of the issues that some of the issues with our messaging as Dems that actually tuned Latino votes off from our messaging and have turned some of the Latino votes away from the Democratic Party. So I will go into that a little deeper. But Juntos for Virginia that I wanted to cover for you, Juntos for Virginia is a political action committee, and it helps Latinos foster Latino leadership and offer financial and technical support to Latino candidates or Latino leaders interested in running for office so that they can compete in primary processes and general elections. As the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia, we are a caucus of DPVA, of the Democratic Party of Virginia, so we're limited to only supporting candidates after primaries. And that really limited us in as a community, as a whole, in supporting leaders and mapping out their political career and mapping out their pathway to an elected office. So in terms of the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia, which is why Maritza invited me here for today, the mission of the Latino organization, it's there for you, is for us to activate, engage, and support political consciousness of the Latino community in Virginia. And also the consciousness encourage Latinos to utilize the Democratic Party in Virginia to advocate for their interests. We also look to utilize the Democratic Party and our participation in it to increase Latino representation in government. And that is in every level of government in the Commonwealth. I think another part of our mission is to incorporate Latino interest within the policies that are pushed by our Democratic leaders, but also have a dialogue with Democratic leaders to understand what are the priorities of our community and what programs better serve our community, or otherwise see what programs are actually affecting our community in a negative way, or what type of proposals or messagings are actually turning Latino votes and voters away from the Democratic Party. So it's a two-way street. I know that many of the people on the board have the hearts of advocates, and we do come, our political participation is highly fueled by our advocacy, but we understand we understand that what is best for our community is the growth, and what is best for the Commonwealth is the growth of the Democratic Party, and are proud members of it, and are very willing and eager actually to create alliances among caucuses and among Democrats so that we can together bring the Commonwealth to be a safe space for all Virginians and for all Americans. As you see the board there, we're very excited about the new board. We ran as a slate, a unity and growth slate, unidad y crecimiento. We were able to deliver geographical diversity, which has been very challenging. As you know, it's very challenging for statewide caucuses to have geographical diversity. I want to say at least 5 members of our board are Richmond based and have a direct professional relationship with the General Assembly. So we are very proud to have that, because one thing that we want to get stronger with is creating a legislative agenda and be able to advise Democratic leaders on legislation and how it affects the Latino community, but also organize our community ahead of time to understand policy and to either support it or oppose it in an effective manner. So here we go. We have as vice chair Danielle Friedman out of Richmond, Teresa Martin, who's on the call out of Prince Williams County. Teresa Martin is our political director, and she was immediately hands-on. She is helping us put together a series of roundtables to cross-reference data that we have from DPVA, that we have from the Department of Elections on Latino vote. Hi, Reed, I think you need to mute your, I think you should mute your microphone because you're coming in and out. Thank you. So we're putting together a series of roundtables to cross-reference the statistics that we have with actual experience of community leaders and the current scenarios, right? To understand and make strategic decisions and strategic proposals for the 2025 election cycle. Very excited about Freddy Mejia, who's also in Richmond, Federico Cura, who's from Arlington Dems and is on the call, but who's someone willing to go all over the state and all over the nation to promote Democratic candidates and to engage the Latino community. Thank you, Federico. You're amazing. Elizabeth Rodriguez, I'm really excited about. She's a Fairfax Dem, and she is already doing the work, and she just needed to bring it on to the caucus and get the institutional backing for amazing work that she's doing. She's always fundraising for Democratic leaders in Fairfax City, hosting parties at her house, supporting young Dems. And her husband, Estuardo Rodriguez, is also a strong ally of our community, a strong Latino Dem. And together they have a national project, which is to bring the Latino American Museum to the National Mall. So we're very proud to have her on the board. Hispanic Media Communications Director Sandy Itrago. Sandy Itrago is a specialist in political communication, and she's a native Spanish speaker. And we're really going to value and benefit from her first generation experience and what she brings to the dialogue as someone who was politically persecuted in Latin America and has since migrated to the United States and had the first generation immigrant experience. Jason Melendez, Luciano Benjamin, Gerardo Aguilar Castillo, and Marcelo Maldonado are all members of Young Dems, and they have outreach experience in different regions of the state and a strong network in different regions of the state. Marcelo Maldonado will be supporting all of Northern Virginia, and Gerardo Aguilar will be focusing on the greater Richmond region. Luciano Benjamin, he's a business owner and an entrepreneur and a young Dem. He's out of Shenandoah Valley. And Jason Melendez is all over the state. He has relations everywhere. He works at the General Assembly, and he's going to help us grow and be able to establish caucuses in regions where we're seeing a high concentration or a large Latino population, but that we lack the party infrastructure or the Latino Caucus to bring Latinos to participate within the local Democratic committees. So Jason's going to help us facilitate that infrastructure building for Latinos to be able to be active in their local Democratic committees. Okay, that takes us to our goals. And I don't want to take too much time, but just to present this to you, and I put cute Spanish phrases to my slides. Manos a la obras, that means we came on board, we rolled up the sleeves, and within the first week, we were putting out a statement against the Lake and Riley, in opposition to the Lake and Riley bill or act that we saw pass and that we unfortunately saw some Democrats support. Now, if you read our statement, and this is what the tone of the Latino Caucus will be. Our statement comes from our identity as Democrats, reaching out to our fellow Democrats and doing the necessary ask and presenting the information so that their vote is informed. So we're doing the due diligence of informing as to what the policies that some of our members of Congress are supporting, how that impacts our community. It's not antagonizing Dems. It's not protesting or boycotting Dems. It's actually informing. And when that internal dialogue is not being effective, for the sake of accountability, making that public statement that we make this recommendation for our Democratic Caucus to consider as to how certain policies are not only negative impacting our community, but also all immigrant communities alike. So, and therefore weakening due process in the United States and weakening democratic institutions in the United States. So we were able to put this statement out with the support of at least 5 Latino Democratic elected officials who are Democrats and Latino. What else are we going on? This weekend, we're going to have our first roundtable with 40 Latino community leaders. These are, yes, thank you, Maritza. And this is an effort from us as a Latino caucus within DPVA, for us as Dems, reaching out to the community leaders and saying, we value your service, we value your experience, this is our data, this is our strategic plan, how can we integrate both, right? And the idea is to have this first roundtable in Prince Williams County, which I consider the ultimate battleground of Northern Virginia, and take that experience and mimic it in other regions where we plan to increase engagement. We have Latino elected officials in Virginia Beach, in the Hampton Roads area, in Roanoke, Virginia, and Southwest Virginia, in the Charlottesville area. However, we lack local caucuses there, and we have many Democratic committees in areas of the Commonwealth with large Latino communities, but that don't have yet a Latino caucus like the one that Maritza chairs, the one that we're participating in today. So part of our strategic plan is to visit those Democratic committees and help them host a Latino event to promote engagement. And we think the most tasteful way of doing that is through a roundtable. You want to first invite them home and value the Latino leaders' experience and value the community's experience before actually pushing our agenda as Democrats onto them. Actually invite them to feed our strategic plan and feed our messaging and feed us with their experience, right? Feed our leadership with their experience. So I'm happy to highlight that in the last 2 years, DLOV was able to facilitate or encourage the formation of Latino caucuses in 5 different counties, and that the chairs of those Latino caucuses will be meeting with DLOV once a month to share experiences and to share best practices. And Maritza, thank you for being one of the originators of this movement. And I know that people are already looking at your bulletin and sharing it. It was shared greatly in other caucuses. I'm snooping in all of them. Of course, I belong to to the chats of all the different caucuses, and people are really astonished by the communications coming out of Fairfax County. So congratulations on that. People are looking forward to learning from you. And the Arlington caucus, we have folks from the Arlington caucus on the call, has done a magnificent job as well, engaging Latinos, first of all, through socials, right? Through social gatherings, and then in that social gathering, starting some of the conversations, touching on the subjects and the issues that we need to talk about and that our communities are facing. So with that being said, we now have Latino caucuses in Prince Williams County, Arlington County, Fairfax County, Richmond, Greater Richmond, and in formation in Loudoun County. And we look forward to finishing the year with at least 3 more caucuses. ¿Qué pasa, Fairfax? And this is really quick, and I hope the font is not too small, but it was quickly put together. This is sort of the data that we're going to be showing our community leaders, because we ultimately want them to have data on our voting trends as well. I just, I asked Charasia provided this data to give me data on Fairfax. And here's what we've seen. The population in the Latino population in Fairfax has grown to approximately 17% since the 2020, per the 2020 census. That is relevant. And the Latino population in the Commonwealth, just so you all know, is approximately 11%. So significant numbers, a significant voting bloc, definitely. And some of the voting patterns that we've seen is that in 2020, in the presidential elections, nationally, Latinos voted 63% in support of Joe Biden. We saw a drop. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, shoot. Just give me 1 second. Just 1 second. My computer's about to die, and my kids are in the other room with my charger. Sorry. Just 1 second. Niñitos, me.
I'm gonna give you. I don't want to stop her sharing.
I am so sorry about that. I thought I was going to be done faster.
You were really fast.
I thought I was going to be done faster, and no, that I was going to be done faster with the call. And I'm always running away from my kids so I can join these calls with some silence. Okay, so you saw the big drop, right, in the 2024 election. And there's different reasons contributing to that, and we can talk about it. I'm going to briefly mention them, and then during our Q&A, we can just expand on it. We saw a split, but we saw lower participation, right? Some of the concerns are economic concerns. Inflation and job security remained being a priority issue, especially among working class Latinos. Housing affordability, education access. So if we see from this, those are the 3 main issues. So while we continue while immigration is very important, we're going to see an impact of immigration in all of these 3, right? So immigration continues to be very important, but not necessarily, it is not properly perceived as a priority by voters, or it was not perceived this election as a priority by voters. That being said, Latino issues are American issues. They're the same issues that we probably lost the general elections to, right? This was the general feel in the overall voting community. So some of the takeaways, and then we can open discussion that I want you to take from this, is that Latinos are a voting and economic force. Latinos in the United States, on the GDP contribution of Latinos is 6.7 trillion. We could be the 5th economy in the hemisphere. So just so you have that, People in our community are running out of benefits and channels for legal immigration or to be documented, right? Because our principles as Democrats, no one's illegal, right? But to remain with an immigration status where they're not persecuted, right? And not criminalized. We saw that they've now shut down TPS, temporary protection status. They've shut down humanitarian parole, which allowed for family unification. I don't know if all of you are familiar with humanitarian parole, but it allowed families to reunite despite the financial backing of the person in country. So they just needed somebody in the United States to be able to offer financial backing of slightly above poverty level. This allowed for faith-based groups and for NGOs and community-based organizations to serve as financial backing to many people to allow that family reunification. So the criteria, the financial criteria for this program were lower than when you petition for a relative, and you didn't have to be the person did not have to be the financial backing did not have to be related to the person benefiting from the humanitarian parole. So it's very sad to see that go away because as you see, it's another way of shutting down working class and economically disadvantaged migrants. Our homes are multi-generational. Our homes are multi-status. As I'm speaking to you right now, I am having peace of mind to talk to you because my cousin, who's a refugee, helps me take care of the children. She lives with me. I also have a cousin dependent on TPS, who is, as of a few days ago, on counting down the days. He only has 3 months left of documentation of driver's license, work permit, and all of the sort as TPS is being shut down and taken away. Together, that being said, my vote is multidimensional. I have to vote as considering all the different factors of my community and all the different factors within my household. Together we can make the scapegoat of today the poster child of tomorrow. And in that I'm saying, if we are able, thank you. Yeah, if we're able, and what I mean by that is not that Latinos are going to take over the US. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if we're able to see the threats to our democracy based on the persecution Latinos are facing and immigrants are facing currently. And the reason why Russell, I'm going to take your question really quick. And the reason why I'm emphasizing Latinos being persecuted is because they do speak of illegal immigration, but when they're using examples, they continue referencing Venezuelans and Latinos, right? Either Venezuelans or Mexicans. And so it's the constant association, the intentional association of criminals and Latinos and criminalization, immigration, economic-based immigration, and criminalization. Okay, so I'm done there. I'll take, Marisa, you want me to take Russell's question first? Do you see the order of questions?
Yes, of course,
Okay.
of course.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. But I want to ask a question relating to the results in the last election. Now, I noticed that Ruben Gallego from Arizona voted for the Lincoln-Riley Act. And I noticed that Catherine Masto Cortez from Nevada voted for Lincoln-Riley Act. They won their elections in an election that went poorly for Democrats across the board. So I have to ask, when we look at how the election turned out, I think we have to analyze that we made some mistakes and we have to figure out what went wrong and how we correct that. And so I'm asking, when we take the approaches that we have taken in the past as it concerns the border and immigration and things of that nature, are we repeating the same old mistakes?
I think they were very effective. First of all, Arizona is a border state, right? And we do have to take under considerations the effects of such a massive humanitarian parole program might have had, and how that information was, how that affected the climate in border states. You saw I think Arizona would send at least 2 buses a day to the DMV area of migrants. So even though Gallegos and it's in Arizona, I think one of the big issues there was the migrant crisis. And I don't want to play devil's advocate, but in order to make sense of his vote or their vote, if you see the Democrats the majority of the Democrats that voted for the Reagan-Rayleigh Act were in states that received high volume of migrants in the last few years, right? And I think my calculation and trying to understand, I think they were trying to make a statement that Democrats are in favor of national security and in favor of law enforcement or obeying the law, and misunderstood this bill as something that would only target people with a criminal record and that would help alleviate this sensation or in the general public that we had left our borders open to be invaded by criminals and that criminals had impunity to act violently against citizens, right? Does that answer your question, Russell? I think that was part of our mistake as from the Biden-Harris administration is to probably not be able to address the stress that it costs some of the states to receive such high waves of migration. For example, the city of Chicago, in a matter of 2 years, received 38,000 migrants from Venezuela. So I think as Democrats, we could strategize to think if we're faced with such a migrant crisis, how are we able to distribute this? How are we able to work effectively with states and local jurisdictions to mitigate that impact? I know we tried with FEMA. I know that in the District of Columbia, FEMA offered $9 million to create a migrant services center, but it cost the district a lot more than that. So I do think the migrant crisis put pressure on local jurisdictions, and it might have backfired for us. However, I don't think that justifies putting such a racist bill ahead and one that actually jeopardizes due process.
Thank you, Carla. Do we have somebody? Marta.
Yes, thank you. Carla, thank you very much for your presentation. It's eye-opening in many senses. I just wanted to add to Russell's comment. I understand that Democrats from the border states voted in favor of this law, but I cannot justify Mark Warner voting for it. I mean, we are not I know that we have been affected and everything for this, but not, so we need to make these Democrats accountable. I mean, they just, I cannot believe that they are blindly signing or voting for something that is so clear that is going to affect everybody.
So I don't think they're blindly voting for something. I think they're voting for it despite what they know. Right? Because Mark Warner is an ally of the Latino community and has received the support and has had engagement with the Latino community for throughout his service in the Commonwealth. I think there are calculations that we're not seeing and that are unfortunately affecting us negatively. And maybe in their calculation, it was worth taking the risk. I don't think it's worth it, and I agree with you. I don't think it's acceptable. I think we're seeing it. I can't defend them because I'm not in their office. I'm DLOV, right? But the way I try to understand per my statement, I'm wondering if they're just doing a higher calculation. Do you need the leverage? Do you need to support this and then use that initial support as leverage to get higher policies that benefit a greater number of people, including Latinos in the Commonwealth? Do you need to do this in order to not have federal funding taken away and federal investment away from the state? I don't know, maybe there's calculations that we're not seeing. I think we deserve an explanation. I think it was in their calculation, they were short-minded to see that this weakens all of the Commonwealth and all of the United States. It just does away with our principles.
Thank you so much. And we want to take the last question from Katie. Katie?
Thank you both, Maritza and Carla, for your wonderful presentations. I have a factual question and then a support question. Factual one is this onerous civil rights destroying principle that people can be deported for just being accused of a crime. Was that added by the Trump administration, or was that part of the original bill that was negotiated by Biden? And then I'll give you my second question as well.
Say that again. Can you repeat just so I understand?
Sure. There's a provision in the Lake and Riley bill that says that people can be deported who are accused of a crime without having been convicted of it. So I was wondering if that is something that the Trump administration added, or someone in the Congress, or if that was part of the original immigration bill that the Biden administration negotiated.
So the Biden administration did not push this act.
Well, there was a bill that they had negotiated with Congress that was about to pass, except that Trump stepped in. So I was assuming that this legislation was based on that, but it's probably not the same.
It's not the same, and it's been advanced quite quickly in Congress. That advocacy groups had been warning. That's why it's so important that we, even though we are participating within the party structure, that we keep our eyes and ears open for the advocacy groups, because they were ringing the bells and highlighting the dangerous language in this act. And there it is. Thanks for sharing it. And the problem is that it wasn't just crime. It wasn't just crime. It was also, as you know, yeah, like minor offenses too. Like even if you weren't convicted, you can be taken. And the scary thing is that it gives discretionary, it's up to the discretion of the ICE officers or whoever or the police to contact ICE immediately, and then for ICE to start a removal process. It's very case by case as well, but it gives. So in states,
it's very dangerous because people could be like, sleep with me or I'll, deport you. They could totally abuse their power.
Right. It increases the vulnerability of our communities
Big time.
Immensely.
Yeah.
It also criminalizes immigration.
Yeah. So what can other communities do to support you guys at this time?
I think it's important to stop seeing it as a Latino issue, right? We need to see that this is part of a greater objective to weaken the middle class, weaken the working class, and really to divide the United States little by little. Like the attacks are against every single demographic and minority if you analyze it. We're just the current scapegoats. So as long as we're able to like join forces, hold together, and say, no, this is undemocratic, this is and challenge in the courts and support that, for us to also not, what are you saying? Okay. There's an open discussion during happy hour. Okay. Also for us to, if we have legal aid type of organizations, to flag it to the Latino movement, to Latino communities, also have conversations. I just went to visit my mother for her 70th in Florida, and I had conversation with all my cousins who are business owners or who work in places with other immigrants. I'm like, is your workplace protected? So helping schools, doctors' offices, and places of work be protected that says that a court order is necessary beyond that point, right? Or judiciary warrant is necessary beyond that point. Just have the necessary signage to protect folks there. So have conversations just to make sure that people know their rights, and that people have access to know your rights workshops. We also need to be effective whistleblowers when we're seeing something that could weaken our democracy.
Definitely. Thank you.
And let me know if you can think of anything, let me know, because I don't have all the answers, but I'm here so that we can create the synergy in defending democracy and defending minorities, because it's against everyone, right? Like today, he came out and blamed the plane crash on minority businesses,
I know.
minority contractors.
Noxious.
He's going after everyone.
Yeah.
It's a fascist right-wing agenda.
Yes, for sure.
Carla, I don't know how to say thank you. You give us a great presentation. I think for all of us that are here, have a better vision and more clear about the work the Latino does in the community and at the state level, and now understanding what DLOV is and what it does, and how you are leading the efforts to make sure that we bring more Latinos to participate together to make the force happen in a different way.
Let me give you one final ask. I'm sorry. If I know we all have networks and we belong to different caucuses in the Democratic Party, I understand that some local caucuses have felt resistance from their committee chairs in having to organize a demographic base, yet another demographic based caucus. Explain some of the cultural competency aspects of having to organize yet another caucus. It's just easier for a community to find that direct link to the it's very artificial for and very different from our political experience to organize having to register within a party immediately, right? So I think Latino caucuses at the local level allow for that initial interaction, allow for that point of contact, allow almost to be liaisons or ambassadors in creating that relationship, and serving as mentors on how to navigate the political system in the United States. So just explain that so that we don't face as much resistance as some of the local groups have faced. It's not easy for minorities to come and just join a Democratic committee. Unfortunately, there's cultural barriers, linguistic barriers to it.
Yeah, but let's remember that that DLOV is being there for a while, and we didn't really have the opportunity because everything was so dispersed, all over Virginia. So it was really hard to bring Latinos together because we lack the opportunities of conversation. Like now we have Zoom meetings, and after we have COVID, we were able to really explore the opportunity to have massive groups of people together in one place talking about the same conversation we didn't have before. So that
I'm touring the state, so if people want to come with and go elsewhere with me, let me know. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, and thank you for your participation and everybody to come to see us. I'm just gonna run really quick through the agenda so we can finish. And I'm about all business. I want to make sure that you know that you have our social media presence in your phone or in your computer, because we're growing and growing. Thanks to our great team that it's Marta Calderon and is Leonel Rojas and Federico and Gil. So we have a good team to put everything together. So you can join our media in Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube, and now in Blue Sky. We're going to jump to the new business. And do we have any new business to consider? Anybody wants to bring something, new business? Okay, I just want to mention that what we are trying to do is little reunions in our neighborhood to start having the conversation with our neighbors, bring it together to the possibilities to be the force for the situation that is happening in our country from now on. And we are planning to start mini conversations about how the PBA and how DNC works and how our structure of the committees works at every level, starting with our local level, so people understand how really things work, and invite people to participate in voter registration, collecting signatures, working at the polls, and understanding our candidates. So if you want to be part of that, please sign up to the bulletin and join us so we can start the conversation. We are putting together resources for our community to people to be prepared when ICE knock at the door, so they know what to say, how to handle a red card, how to find a lawyer that it will provide the support without charging, so they can at least know that they're in the right path. So please join us to make our directory more wider and amplify the protection for immigrants. I'm going to jump to announcements, and after I'm done, if you want to share something, please feel free. Right now, at the Mount Vernon District Annual Mardi Gras is going to be March 1st, so you can meet our candidates and have the opportunity to talk to them. We're going to have all the information available through the bulletin. Our Congressman Connolly is going to have the first annual St. Patrick Day Fete on March 16. And FCDC is going to have the annual Pick Your Pony Straw Poll on March 23 at Mustang Sally's, and the annual FCDC Blue Fairfax Dinner on May 18. As always, the Latino Caucus always contribute to the Latina Cantina basket for the silent auction, so I invite you to participate. Now I open the mic for anybody to want to have any announcements or have any questions before we adjourn.
Nope.
Anybody? No? Okay, so we're gonna share a video so you can go and find something to drink if you want to participate in our happy hour from 8 to 8:30. Thank you very much for your consideration, for coming, for attend our meeting and be part of the change. So I'm here, and please, you can always contact me, and thank you for coming. Thank you for being part of the Latino Caucus.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing to support our scared community.
Thank you, Debbie. What?
Adjourn the meeting.
This meeting is adjourned.